let's get right to senior NBA insider Shams Charania. Donovan Mitchell signing an extension. Shams, what are the details?
And a 4 years, $273 million max contract extension through 2031 for Donovan Mitchell. And he could have waited till next summer, waited the full next season to be able to sign for an additional fifth season and an extra $80 million. But the first day Donovan Mitchell was eligible for an extension was today, and he, his agent Austin Brown, Kobe Altman, the team president, Dan Gilbert, the owner, spoke. They came to terms on the deal that now gives the Cavs stability before Donovan Mitchell was going to be entering the final guaranteed year of his deal. And we know the types of pressure that comes with that. And this is now the second extension that Donovan Mitchell has signed in Cleveland ever since he got there in 2022. And this is a stamp and a pledge to his commitment in Cleveland as this team clearly tries to compete for a championship in the East.
And compete for the LeBron sweepstakes as well, because you reported the Cavs are trying to lure him back to Cleveland. How does this extension play into that picture?
Hannah, it doesn't hurt that a franchise cornerstone has now doubled down on his commitment to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Donovan Mitchell, I'm told, has been very active and a significant part of the conversations the Cavs officials have been having this summer on upgrading the roster. And yes, that includes the pursuit of LeBron James. And I'm told behind has made it clear that he would embrace LeBron coming to the Cavaliers and joining him in Cleveland. Another wing as well that the Cavs have pursued here in free agency is Jonathan Kuminga, unrestricted free agent after his team option was declined by Atlanta. Kenny Atkinson coached Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State as an assistant. So LeBron James is the first priority for the Cavaliers, and Donovan Mitchell is fully on board with that and upgrading the Cavs roster overall after they made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And then, of course, they got to figure out the James Harden of it all as well. Very interesting stuff, Shams. Thank you so much. And wherever he ends up, you can expect LeBron to be in peak form. Look at this. He posted this clip in the gym yesterday. This is a 41-year-old.
I really want to try that, to be honest.
Not with them heavyweights.
I was going to say, do you think you could?
To help.
Do you? Okay.
No,
I can't do it.
You just got to be able to hold first.
That's just, that's like otherworldly. Okay, you heard
The
them.
athlete in us is like, give me one shot of that.
Hold first, and then I can add the weights.
I love it. Monica McNutt, Sinead, we're going to be here all day, so that's why we have the W ball here, right? We're all day, all night. Wendy, hello to you. Very interesting stuff we just heard there. Hey, first of all, how does this contract situation, this extension, what does this do for the immediate future of the Cavs?
Well, this is, huge welcome news for the Cavs, because I think they were bracing themselves for the reality that Donovan would pass on the contract extension offer because it just made so much more sense to wait until next year. We're seeing Nikola Jokic, in fact, who's a pride and, totally through and through Denver Nugget. He intends to wait for next year because he wants to be able to get more guaranteed money. And Donovan Mitchell doing this now enables the Cavs to make plans for the future beyond their pursuit of LeBron James. This is about getting their team in best position to compete in the medium term. Now, the Cavs were a second apron team last year. They want to move into next season not being in the second apron. And that is part of what an opt-out and extension of a new contract with James Harden will be about. And for the Cavs to go through this offseason, again, regardless of whether they win the LeBron James sweepstakes or not, get out of the second apron and retain their entire core, which is Harden, Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. They didn't have to get any of those players off of their roster. That is a successful offseason. And so when they traded for Donovan Mitchell, there were a lot of people who did not believe he would make one contract extension. At age 29, he is committing the rest of his prime with a second contract extension. It's a huge victory for the Cavs organization. And look, the $75 million that they're going to owe him at age 35, I agree. In the age of teams moving off and not wanting Jaylen Brown at $57 million, maybe that contract will have a different feel 5 years from now. But the Cavs are very happy to enter into it to know that they're getting him in his prime for the foreseeable future.
I mean, if he's in the same kind of shape that LeBron is at age 41, I don't see that as much of a risk.
High bar him.
I know. Listen, you just heard what everybody's kind of reporting. Maybe the Jonathan Kuminga about, we expect James Harden to be back. Is there a better situation than Cleveland in your mind for LeBron?
I still have questions about Philly. I know I might be in the minority on that. But when I look at where LeBron would take his talents next, I'm thinking of where he's going to have the least mileage in terms of games played and experience and the most youth around him that he can help move forward. And I know folks will debate on what role he wants to have in his next stop. But I think Cleveland, I personally am a big fan of the full circle moment of it all, the storybook of it all. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the better options in terms of superstars that are in their prime still that he could be paired with.
To me, this is it, the lineup here, because when I bring out my Rich Paul, whiteboard,
Okay.
I put up this starting lineup, and I'm like, this this is plug and play. I know you like that, Wendy. For LeBron James, you have a point guard in James Harden who has completely moved, or at least he should at this point, to straight up facilitator knocking down open shots. You have Donovan Mitchell, who's locked in for the long term. And when we talk about his tenure, he has been a 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA when he's worn a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform, averaging 27 points per game. He's one of the top best players in the league. Evan Mobley, a DPOY, and Jared Allen, who people sleep on the fact that he's two-way. He was once an All-Star, but, you know, like, he's the type of guy that in the playoffs can provide an, you know, I was going to say an oomph, can provide a necessary oomph.
That works.
Especially in the front court. So when I look at the field and starting fives in Cleveland, and I'm LeBron James, and I love being at home, getting that home cooking, I might see like, oh, I can just insert myself at the 3. We can play small ball with me at the 4. We can go super big and play with me at the 3. There are options here that might actually really work.
I love what you did there, because the shortcoming, guys, as we've seen the last couple seasons for the Cavs, has been being able to show up in the playoffs. This year, yes, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden are able to achieve something by getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. If LeBron is healthy, and that's been an if at this point in his career, but if he's healthy, he could be the confidence that they might need.
Hey, LeBron led them to a first-round playoff win. That's all
what I'm saying is, if he's healthy, he was the only one healthy.
Yeah,
at the end
that's
of the
right.
year.
That's right.
That's fair. Because you were following the Knicks very closely.
That's right. They beat our Rockets. That's how we know. They beat the Rockets. I know, he sure was. Wendy, really quick, James Harden, where does he fit into all of this?
Yeah, James Harden is going to re-sign with the Cavs, and when he re-signs with the Cavs, his new contract is going to take them out of the second apron, and that's what their long-term plan has been. But James Harden, like quite a few players in the league, for example, like Draymond Green, is waiting for LeBron James' decision. And if it would help the Cavs funnel more money to LeBron, I think James Harden is willing to change the terms of his contract. Not necessarily less guaranteed money, but maybe to stretch a new deal from 2 years to 3 years. Because what the Cavs are trying to achieve is get enough money underneath the second apron that they can add LeBron potentially for more than the minimum. The idea of LeBron James coming to your team at $6 million or $4 million for the minimum is crazy great efficiency.
So, that is wild.
You know, whatever, I think Harden, is, you know, like, you know, Sham said, I think Donovan Mitchell is embracing the concept. I think James Harden is embracing the concept. And look, last year, LeBron did everything from play point guard to center for the Lakers. Not in 2019, last year. So he would, I would argue, he could be plug and play on any roster.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Mobley's making, what, $221 million, and Allen $90 million. And I mean, just to think of LeBron being, like, by far the least paid person on that roster.
Girl, he is in a different chapter of his life and a different tax bracket.
But it's still crazy to think about. All right. Meanwhile, what about the Heat? Okay, so their offseason moves, one that started it all, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Tim Hardaway Jr., everybody joined the squad. They also revealed Giannis is going to wear number 7 next season. He did appear on a live stream yesterday, and then all these fans started making comments about LeBron going to Cleveland, so check out Giannis's reaction.
LeBron signed with Cleveland. Bro, is this real?
I don't know if they're spamming it.
Alex, can you see if that's real? Yeah, let me do it. Bro, they say LeBron signed with Cleveland. LeBron signed with Cleveland.
Are you serious? No way.
Really? Look, he said this again. Are you?
No. Wallah, I didn't tell them anything. Chow, are you lying or not? Seriously. It's fake. There's something fake.
It's fake?
Yeah.
No. You told him to do that.
How was I going to tell? I'm next to you.
Touch my heart, man. Touch my heart, bro. Touch my heart, bro. Hey, man. Come on, man. Don't do this to me. Give me a heart attack.
Okay, that's all of us, basically, right? Like, what's real, what's not. How do you like the fit of LeBron in Miami, potentially?
Help me, because I'm still trying to figure out how Miami is going to work. I know who Giannis Antetokounmpo is in this league. I know who Bam Adebayo is in this league. That defense is going to be stout, but good gracious, they need some shooting badly. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have an opportunity, and so if LeBron James is going to space the floor as a shooter, I guess, like, he is probably one of the most plug-and-play guys in the league, but I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like when we get the ball.
I am laughing at starting with help me and also getting a little peppering.
Girl, help me.
Because, Monica, I have the same sentiments. First of all, when Giannis came, I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Okay.
In that front court. I love, and shout out to Michael Beasley for exposing everyone to the greatness of Bam ahead of time. He was clairvoyant because he said that guy's the toughest to guard in the NBA at times because he played him in ones, and then he explodes for 83, right?
Yes, indeed.
And then you add in Giannis Antetokounmpo, who are two strong front court players. Then LeBron, who can also be hybrid in the front court. So I'm looking at the balance, and you also have to surround LeBron James, not just Giannis, not just Bam, but you have to surround LeBron with shooters.
Come on, Spacey.
Like when he's won championships, he's had knockdown shooters alongside good one-on-one players. So I mean, maybe it's the weather, maybe it's the time, maybe it's a nostalgia, maybe they just want to go really big. But I think my biggest takeaway from Giannis's reaction was that this is an arms race in the East.
Girl.
You look at Philly and Jaylen Brown. You look at the Knicks being the reigning champions. You see Kawhi going back to Toronto. The list is getting longer. Giannis now in Miami. It's truly an arms race, and that's why all of our antennas, or should we say, Wendy, all of our fingers, our fingers are up, Wendy.
The Wendy thing. Hey, Wendy, from past experience, does anybody know what's going on here? I mean, do we have does anyone, any team, anybody know what LeBron's thinking right now?
Yeah, so you talk to these teams who are interested in signing LeBron, and there's a dearth of information. It's all one-way information, and this is how his previous free agencies have operated. Just nobody has known. Like, look, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh got about 12-hour heads-ups when he came to Miami, and Dwayne Wade got roughly that, maybe a little bit less than that, when LeBron was leaving to go back to Cleveland. He keeps a very tight circle, and when it comes to announcing his free agency, he does a very good job of keeping the secret. So, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are basing things on vibes. They're like, well, the vibes point this way, and that may end up being correct, but the circle is kept very tight. And I think Giannis's heart was beating, not just because he would love to see LeBron join him in Miami, but also because the team that gets him will be very formidable. As we show with that lineup, the Cavs having that type of lineup is very formidable in the Eastern Conference. So as you can imagine, this has got a lot of the NBA on edge right now.
Yeah, stay tuned. Those are the two operative words that we have. And still to come on this show, stay tuned because Jazz rookie Darren Peterson making Summer League look easy. Janae highlights why their fans should be so excited.
Producer Condis.
Brad Stevens addressed the controversial Jaylen Brown trade. Brian Windhorst tells us what he did or didn't accomplish in addressing their reasons. And Giannis, so impressive.
Girl.
I was like, give me a break.
Girl.
Peterson has 25 points, 12 assists. Boozer, 18.7 rebounds, 4 dimes.
Nice.
Here was Peterson after the game. And one more for good measure. There you go. Well done by both. Your 2 and 3 picks. Here's number 2.
What is it about your ability to thrive in late game situations? What do you love so much about clutch moments?
I say it all the time, I'm a Kobe guy. That's something he did. So anytime I can assert dominance, I try to. So at the end of the games, I try to kill.
Yeah, he talks about Kobe a lot, has a Kobe tattoo. Tim McMahon joining us now from Salt Lake. So howdy, Tim. What's the buzz there after 2 standout games by Peterson?
Howdy, Hannah. Look, they are excited about Darren Peterson, you know, the Jazz organization, the fans, and honestly, the scouts from other teams that I talked to are buzzing about just the superstar potential, how poised he is, how he plays at his own pace. You can't speed him up, but just the blend of the size, the athleticism, the skill. And, you know, one thing you maybe didn't see from Darren Peterson at Kansas was the playmaking ability. The assist-to-turnover ratio was basically even for him in college. You saw it last night, and this was against Cedric Howard as his primary defender, a quality NBA starter, not your typical summer league fare. But you know, I had a scout sitting next to me just talking about, look at the way that he's directing traffic. Look at the advanced reads that he's making, and then the passes he's delivering. He said, those are passes that only a dude can make, and Darren Peterson is a dude.
Oh, there's a dude at number 3, too, right? Cam Boozer. What are the folks that you were around saying about him?
Yeah, and look, 6'8", 250-plus pounds, big, strong, definitely got his daddy's frame, no doubt about that. He's a power point forward. And again, with him, the thing that's really special is he's got that size, that strength, and he has guard skills, the ability to shoot, the ability to put it on the floor, and the ability really to play chess, to manipulate a defense, and not just to see the floor, but to see how he can make things happen on the floor and read plays a few steps ahead and really make any pass because of his size and his vision that you could possibly imagine. He's a really special passer. I had one scout tell me, by the way, Dave Mara, the Thunder big man, also pretty special passer, said those are the two of the best passing young bigs that he scouted.
It'll be so much fun to watch these guys. Again, we're going to be at Summer League Thursday. We're going to get Dubonsa versus Peterson. Tim, thank you so much. As Peterson now leads all players in Summer League with a 26.5 points per game average. He ranks tied for second. He's got those 7 assists. Again, that ability to see the floor. Janae, what excites you the most about what you're seeing from this rookie?
There's a rookie out there that's doing this. He's, let me lasso. There's a rookie out there that is reeling me in, and that is Darren Peterson. We all knew he's a bucket, right? But he's flaunting off a different aspect of his game as we go to the big board and we break it down because I love how shifty he is and how creative he is off the bounce. Look at this, between cross. Normally people, when you have this type of elevation in front of you, you step through forward. Instead, he pivots backwards, turns around, and gets the midi to go. But it's the passing here that is truly flashy. Here, there's an ice on the screen. The shooter is available, and so he draws 2, a nice little kick out back there. So you're seeing different aspects of his game, not just scoring, but also passing. At Kansas, he has the highest points per game for a freshman, 20. We all saw that. That's why he got drafted, and that's why people are excited. But more so focus on this because at Kansas, he only averaged 1.6 assists. Instead, what are we seeing in Summer League? 12 assists versus the Grizzlies. To me, this is the thing that you should take note of. That's what's very noteworthy, that he's a double weapon, not just scoring, but also assisting.
Okay.
Jazz fans, many symphonies coming.
Many symphonies. Breaking news on NBA Today. The Knicks championship celebrations may have finally come. Never going to, says Monica. Shams Charania, though, is reporting, says Monica. Shams Charania, though, is reporting the Finals MVP Jalen Brunson's undergoing surgery. They're about 3.5 weeks removed from winning the title. So, Shams, what are the details on this? Seems like it was pretty quiet on this particular injury during the Finals.
And Jalen Brunson underwent this procedure on his shooting hand, his left wrist, earlier today, and my mic is off.
Yeah,
actually.
I know. I was going to say,
so we're gonna,
I was just kind of waiting there. You know what, Shams, it's been a long run. It has been a long run, my friend. Okay, Mike is back on. All right, let's go.
Let's try this again. So, Hannah, earlier today, Jalen Brunson underwent surgery on his left wrist, and the impressive part here is Jalen Brunson played through this injury during the playoffs, during the Knicks' finals run this past season. He's going to need a month, 2 months for this recovery. The expectation is that Jalen Brunson will return to full basketball activities later on in the summer, but this is his shooting wrist, his left wrist, so this is something he had to get taken care of today, had to get it cleaned up, and now he's going to rehab this, recover it, and should be a go later in this summer, this offseason.
All right, Shams, well done, including the mic change there. We appreciate you so much. He's like the hardest working guy on the planet right now. Monty, nobody was closer to the Knicks than you, really, during this run. Did you have, any indication? I guess you guys knew that he was hurting in some ways, but doesn't this make what he did even more impressive?
Absolutely. It certainly does. But Jalen Brunson is the type of player, and he comes from the stock that if he's on the floor, he's going to give it his best. He's not going to make any excuses. And so finding out in hindsight that there was an injury that will require surgery only adds to his lore and his status as the king of New York. But there were a couple of times in the postseason run, Hannah, where he did go down in the course of games and go back to the locker room. He always returned to the floor, though. And so, no, I did not know that this was something that would ultimately land in a doctor's office needing to be medically repaired. But again, he's a guy that will never make an excuse.
It's one thing to have an injury, right,
Yeah.
as a basketball player. It's another thing to have an injury to your hand because we have to shoot the ball, and it being your shooting hand and being in the NBA Finals and finding a way to still bring it home. And not just bring it home, but drop a 40
Come on now.
in order to secure the city's championship for the first time in 53 years. Sir, go to.
Come on now.
Amazing.
But when I think about, I think the aspect you're talking about, we talk about the trophies and all the fun and the parade, Queen of New York. Hey, girl.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think about those moments early in the Spurs series where he went back to the locker room, and because they know of his toughness, the team kept playing and kept playing. And it's almost like they knew he was going to come back because that's just what the cloth he's cut from. And so to hear this in hindsight and also know that he has the requisite amount of time to recover before next season, I'm glad he's have his time. He's getting healthy, getting all
Yeah, that toughness just pervading that entire team. Just part of their DNA, as it was back in the days when they were winning championships before.
Very reflective of those older teams.
All right, they are favored to repeat as East champions at plus 320, followed by the two teams who made that big trade that shook up the conference. The Celtics at plus 450, the Sixers at plus 750. So now to that trade that actually became official on Monday. Jaylen Brown is going to wear number 7 for the Sixers, Kyle Lowry's old number. Paul George becomes the newest member of the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics thanked Jaylen Brown on social media, saying in part, the impact that you made both on and off the court will forever be felt by the city of Boston and Celtics fans everywhere. Thank you to one of the all-time great Celtics. Don't sleep on that line. So why did this trade happen? Well, team president Brad Stevens talked about his reasoning on Monday.
Looked a little bit more challenging to me. I might be wrong. I'm not going to stand up here and be defensive about that. But the path looked a little bit more challenging with 70% of our cap. And such a high percent of our usage tied into 2 players. You have to do a great job, and you have to have the optionality to do a great job of building out depth that can hopefully replace the irreplaceable individual. And that's not an easy thing to do. I've lost sleep over the fan part of this. I get it. There's a bunch of 7 jerseys around. We're not up here to defend ourselves in this decision that is going to certainly be scrutinized. We're okay with that. But we're more so dealing with the emotions of Jalen not being here, just like you are.
He's not the only one who's not there. Look at this. Just 2 years after they win the NBA title, look who's gone. The Celtics core from that 2024 NBA Finals is down to just Derek White and Jason Tatum. Kind of stark, right? So the word that Brad Stevens used over and over was optionality. He kept saying that. What did he mean? Did what he said really change anybody's mind about this trade? What exactly did he say, Brian?
Yeah, he came out trying to influence hearts and minds. And while I think he and Bill Chisholm, the majority holder, the governor of the Celtics, were very respectful of the fans for coming out, and they took questions for 45 minutes. They really wanted to answer everything that was there. I think they were trying to be respectful of Jaylen Brown. I don't think they won any hearts and minds over why they did this, and I think that's because they really didn't present the real case for trading him. They did a lot of vague talk, talking about, terms like optionality, like they could turn, things that they acquired into other things. But I don't think that wanted to totally say why he did this, because it might be considered a little bit coarse and offensive, because obviously Jaylen Brown is viewed as one of the great Celtics of this last generation. And so he said he was going to lose sleep over the fan reaction. I would love to know if he lost sleep over the decision, because I think they're at peace with it. He admitted he could be wrong. Of course, he could be wrong. But I think they did a nice job from a public relations standpoint of holding their cards close to the vest.
Yeah, I mean, he really did delineate the team decision from the fan decision, the fan reaction. He did that a couple of times. I mean, how should the fans feel, especially after what they just heard? They're not feeling any differently.
Confused. Now, I will say this, and I know the question to me is about the fans, but 2 summers ago, or last summer, when the decision was made out of Dallas, I remember being at an event with Nico Harrison. And the one thing you will say about GMs and these decision makers is they stand by the risks that they are willing to take. And I think that, more than anything, is what I draw from that press conference with Brad Stevens. Whether you buy how he tried to dress it up, that's a whole separate conversation. But these guys are paid a lot of money. And to Stevens' credit, he's got a track record of making decisions as far as the Celtics are concerned that lead to success. Now, I'm with Wendy, though. When the tell-all book comes out, baby, I'm signing me up. I need the pre-order.
What was the real reason? Right.
I mean, I think everyone knows he has the credibility in the basketball world, the executive of the year type of person that demands respect from the decisions he made, because part of them yielded a championship. But still, I see this more so as, like, we saw phase 1 with Porzingis and Horford and people leaving, and then we knew that it was, it's the money implications. It's the second apron. It's trying to create, it's new ownership. Like, there's a shift happening. Now it feels like this is phase 2. Phase 2, meaning Jaylen Brown is out. Now Jason Tatum is the centerpiece. Derek White is the only other, main guy remaining. And so I think the question is vision in this phase 2. How are we going to compete? Because a lot of the fans see Jaylen Brown going to the 76ers and not too far away as helping the enemy in some ways.
Oh, sure. So it's one of their greatest rivals, right?
And if you lost to this team and then somehow they look a little bit better, and you're hearing LeBron James' name swirling out there as a potential there too, it's like we need a vision on how we are going to compete. Because we did see just a small sample size of Jason Tatum, and we all know he's an on-game top type of player. But I think that's the question. Like, there was a lot of vagueness, but we need the vision. And I'm excited to see that come to full the next few months for what
it ain't going to be this year.
I'm just, that's the thing. It's not going to be this year. And that's kind of what he was saying, right? Like, I'm going to set us up for moves down the road, all those chess moves. So do you think, are we going to view this trade potentially differently a couple of years from now, Wendy?
We might do it differently this upcoming season. Now, look, it's very possible that Jaylen Brown's going to have an all-NBA second-team year for the Sixers, and the Sixers are going to have a better season, and there's going to be I told you so's all over the place. But what I think Brad Stevens is not articulating is that they look at their team and they see that Hugo Gonzalez can give more, that Baylor Shireman can give more, that Paul George can give good production and then potentially be traded for something in the short-term future. That the draft pieces that they have can give more. And that when all the dust settles, that the production that they're getting is equal to or above what Jaylen Brown brought. Peyton Pritchard, I think, could get a larger role. He just can't delineate that, nor will he delineate that right now, because it puts them in a bad spot. But clearly, they made this decision based on the way they view their roster going forward, and they think that their guys on their roster can take bigger roles to cover for the loss of Jaylen Brown.
And also based on what they saw this season, that quite simply they were not good enough to compete in the playoffs.
They had this. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
I hear you, and I understand gambling on the guys that you are that are there that you believe can give more. But what unlocked all of them? Being around Jaylen Brown, having a top 6 MVP caliber year, like that matters when you're talking about role players being able to be elite.
And when you say kept them afloat, he was the anomaly in the Missoula system that kept defenses honest, because he was so good in isolation, he was so good in mid-range, he was so good in off the dribble. So you could have a cacophony of shooters all around Jaylen Brown, and it sort of created balance to that system that is heavy threes. And you insert a Paul George who is more 3 and more system. It's just getting more of what you like, but I don't know if it's what you necessarily need.
This is exactly why fans were upset. Okay, because this does not pass the eye test, including one little guy. Look at this. I don't know if y'all saw this. The young fan, and you just, I absolutely hate this, but guess what? He got to meet his hero.
The second part.
Yes, so I'm so, look.
Oh
is that,
my gosh, how
so
cute.
Sweet.
Is that the sweetest thing, Jaylen Brown?
With the glasses, I love it.
And look at his little bow tie, like he dressed up.
You can be a fan of players no matter what team they're on, okay? I think he learned that lesson.
Do you think that baby will rise to a Sixers fan?
I think he will.
Okay.
I love it. That was adorable.
New Jersey.
All right. And how about the rook, Olivia Miles, a starter in the backcourt. And then the 6 forwards, Asia Wilson led the player vote. Brandon Stewart led the media vote. Aaliyah Boston led the fan vote. There you go. They're joined by Jess Shepard, Gabby Williams, and Natasha Howard. Okay, so we are so excited. We're going to be announcing the reserves tonight on WNBA Countdown.
Yes,
7:30. We get to do that along with Andrea Carter. Who do you think will be added? Let's go with who we think are locks.
So the lock has to be the players in Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream. They have to get some representation. And I'm going to start with Angel Reese because she's one of a handful of players averaging a double-double. She also was up there in most categories. She was close to being a starter, but then you also have Alicia Gray, who is sensational, having a career year scoring the basketball, and Ryan Howard as well, knocking down threes, but most importantly, leading the W in steals. So Atlanta better be represented in the reserves.
I'm just nervous that they won't get all three after this 5-game skid. I do think they'll get at least 2.
2 out of 3.
Right? All right, so I'm looking at a lock. Jackie Young. Jackie Young's going to be one of the reserves. That has to happen. The Aces continue to be one of the dominant forces in the league, most efficient offense in the league, and a lot of that has to do with what Jackie Young has brought to this particular season. You see the numbers there. We had a chance to talk to her on Sunday night, and she just talked about the focus of her game and the standard that the Aces play with. Now, let me offer this one to you guys.
Okay.
Fringe.
Okay.
Yes. Potential.
Ooh, fringe.
Because if the 5 losses for Atlanta can impact them, then these consecutive wins for the Valkyries might impact one Veronica Burton.
Oh, that would be
on the
nice.
fringe. I know it's a little bit of a push. Gabby Williams is already represented for the Valkyries, but I'm wondering, as they continue to stack some W's, could they get a second player?
Yeah, and speaking of the fringe, I don't think she's fringe anymore because her play the last month especially deserves some attention. That was
I like this one. I like this
Marina Mabry.
Oh, yes.
Why are you picking these highlights?
I like this one.
Spark, she dropped a 53-piece, tied the WNBA record, averaging over 20 points per game. And we talked to her, and she said, hey, last year was a hard year for me.
Yeah.
I bet on myself. We go. I'm the top dog alongside Slim Brittany Sykes, who could also get some nods, too, for All-Star consideration, but goes and leads this team and has had some big moments. So, Rena, I hope to see you there as well.
You know who should be a lock?
I like that.
Who?
A woman that you know well. Nneka Ogwumike. Nneka has to be on this team.
I mean, look,
this team's having a really tough time, and she's been the steadying force, as we've seen, and a lot of the great moments that they've had have been doing.
That's cute. I mean, if you're going to make the case, she's averaging 16 and 8. I know last night was rough. I was in crypto, and it was hard, but I'm proud of myself. So fingers crossed we find out in a few hours. Gods of Spalding and Wilson.
There
Let's make some history for my sister.
There we go.
We'll see later.
WNBA All-Star is around the corner. NBA offseason is cooking. Let's catch you up with Coast to Coast, starting with DeMar DeRozan, waived by the Kings on Monday. So, Wendy, he's just 236 points shy, moving into 15th on the all-time scoring list. What are you hearing about his future?
Yeah, well, teams know he's getting $10 million this year from the Kings, so they may be able to get him at a discount. This would be a great pickup for some teams with limited money but needs the big production. How about a couple of teams that fit that list? Number 1, the Miami Heat. He would be a very good option as a starting small forward, especially if LeBron James picks elsewhere. And the Los Angeles Lakers, his hometown in LA. The Lakers, I think, are chasing some other free agents but would have interest here. And keep an eye on some other teams as this time develops.
Speaking of the Lakers, Rui Hachimura, he's staying in LA, not with the Lakers. He's signing a 2-year, $28 million deal with the Clips. What does that mean for both LA teams, Wendy?
Nice value for the Clippers here. The market had dried up a little bit on Rui. They get him with nice value. He's averaged over 40% from three-point range each of the last 3 years. And I got to say, this creates a remarkable bit of trivia, Hannah, in that the Lakers lost the 5 highest minute players from their playoff roster last year. Obviously, Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves were out with injury, but their 5 highest guys who played into the second round will no longer be there.
That's crazy. Kawhi's leaving LA. We know that. That's not all he's leaving behind, Wendy. What's the significance between him signing a new agent this offseason?
Well, obviously, his last agents have been implicated in potential wrongdoing with the aspiration case, and the NBA continues to have a law firm investigate that. When Kawhi Leonard was on the trade block, it was understood that he would have a say in where he would go because of where he was willing to sign an extension. There was a short list. The Raptors were at the top of it. And so the understanding was as soon as he got there, he would talk about an extension with whomever he decided to hire to do so.
And speaking of the Raptors, Kyle Lowry delivered on his final promise as a player. He had long vowed to re-sign with them so he could retire as a member of the Toronto franchise that he helped bring a championship to. And earlier today, he made it happen. So it's July 7th. It's 7-7, a nod to the number 7 jersey that he wore in his 9 seasons with the Raptors. All-time leader in assists, steals, and threes, ranked second behind the guy we mentioned at the top of this, DeMar DeRozan in points. All right, coming up, 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic waiting to sign an extension with the Nuggets, and he has an update on why he's not signing on that dotted